Time slips away like water, and while the world remains oblivious, the gears of change turn in Baymard. As Death and his elite unit traverse the impossibly smooth, tarred Shanks Road, they struggle to reconcile the sheer ingenuity of this place with the world they once knew. Baymard is no mere city. It is a vision of the future. The sight of sky trains and organized, pristine architecture leaves these hardened assassins shaken, forced to confront the reality that their old world's power is nothing compared to the secrets hidden within these walls. The transition from legendary shadow walker to disciplined soldier is brutal. Stripped of their familiar equipment and identities, Death and his team find themselves trapped in a nightmare where time is the only currency that matters, and failure is met with immediate, harsh correction. Even the #1 assassin of Pino is not immune to the crushing weight of discipline. After a day of rigorous, relentless training, Death finds himself utterly shattered, realizing that in Baymard, his past reputation means absolutely nothing. Deep in the outskirts of the capital, the mission takes shape. Landon and Josh finalize their infiltration plans, knowing that beneath the drizzle and the forest silence, they are about to execute a rescue that will change the fate of the Dafferan Empire. The palace is a nest of secrets, and the slaves are the ones who suffer in silence. Our team, disguised as peasants, slips through the cracks, observing the desperate living conditions that underline the cruelty of Alexander's regime. Paula, a woman of strength defined by 16 years of suffering, is led like an animal to the butcher. Yet behind the fear, a fire burns, not for her own life, but for the granddaughter whose future hangs in the balance. Surrounded by lecherous guards and the looming shadow of Alexander's cruelty, Paula must navigate the most dangerous night of her life. Every word is a gamble. Every breath is a defiance against the men who seek to break her spirit. The chamber is an arena of despair. Alexander awaits, his desire for vengeance against this disobedient woman driving him to madness. He intends to shatter her, unaware that outside, the heavens themselves are preparing to answer his tyranny. Midnight strikes. The palace, usually a fortress of calm, is about to become a theater of war. Josh and his men move with the precision of ghosts, closing the distance to their objective while the target remains oblivious to the coming storm. The signal is given. Smoke, thick and unnaturally vibrant, billows through the palace, turning the night into a disorienting nightmare. Panic spreads like wildfire, not from flames, but from the sudden, inexplicable breach of security. Then the heavens roar. A series of controlled explosions rattle the very foundation of the stone palace. It is not an act of gods, but the calculated wrath of Baymardian technology raining down on the seat of Dafferan's power. In the harem, the scheming queens and concubines are reduced to trembling shadows. The luxury they fought for is irrelevant now, replaced by the primitive fear of a disaster they cannot comprehend, one that seems to target everything but them. Wally and the decoys draw the enemy's gaze, weaving through the forest like predators. Their silencers spit death without a sound, leaving the enemy archers confused as they fall to an invisible, impossible enemy. Flexibility is Elena's weapon. Against a giant who prides himself on his strength and his looks, she dances around his clumsy, rage-filled lunges, waiting for the perfect split second to end the fight. The final room, the last line of defense, is breached not by brute force, but by a flash of blinding, scientific cruelty. In 3 seconds, the elite guards are rendered useless, their senses shattered by the Baymardian invention. The moment of truth arrives. Tilda, a girl who has known only cages and cruelty, stands face to face with a stranger who calls himself a rescuer. With nowhere left to turn, she makes the choice to step into the unknown. The target is secured. The cottage is left behind, and the operation shifts to a desperate escape. Tilda is no longer a prisoner. She is a refugee on the edge of a new, terrifying, and exhilarating life. The cottage vanishes in a roar of fire and iron. All evidence of the intruder's presence and all traces of the enemy guards who stood watch are incinerated, leaving the palace in a state of total, paralyzed shock. In the guest wing, Landon completes his part of the rescue. Paula, a woman who has endured unimaginable misery, finds her chains shattered by a stranger. She is dressed in heavy, layered clothing, her face smeared with dirt, hidden in plain sight. The height is terrifying, and the air is thick with the scent of blood and gunpowder. Paula, frozen by the sight of the chaos below, finds the strength to overcome her vertigo, fueled by the singular hope of reuniting with her granddaughter. They meet in the dark, the distance of 16 years bridged in a single, desperate embrace. Against all odds, the granddaughter and grandmother are safe, the weight of their long imprisonment finally beginning to lift. The escape vehicles are not horses, but giants of air and fire. Paula and Tilda, staring up at the balloons, see them not as machines, but as vessels of magic. The transition from their world of stone and pain to one of sky and fire has begun. As the balloons rise into the cool morning air, Tilda clings to a magazine, seeing the name Baymard written in bold. The dreams she once dismissed now crystallize into reality. She is finally free, and her journey to the light has only just started.